Farm, fish, mine, have an epic audience with a handsome dragon. This magical twist on the farm sim genre offers a refreshing take. From the deep elven forest to the neon monster city. Can I get flamin' rich? And can I save the world from the encroaching darkness? Or will I be overwhelmed by an absolute barrage of the cute and the whimsical? Let's find out. I played 100 Days of Sunhaven. Character customization came first, and there were a number of races including the Fireball Face and the Crusty Demon, as well as a number of professions including some farming ones, combat ones, and a royalty one where you're just straight up rich.
I think I'll go for a human. 20% crafting speed seems great as a passive. We're going Explorer for the bonus movement speed because I love bonus movement speed.
It was regretful passing up the opportunity to be a fireball, so I made my human character look as flame-tastic as possible to make me feel better. A glorious golden buffhead. I was then presented with some random scenes about a blacksmith's apprentice named Lynn who was moving to Sunhaven. I was confused as my golden-haired cherub was nowhere to be seen.
Why are they showing me Lynn's backstory? Who the heck is Lynn?
She had some trouble finding a seat on the train and eventually ended up asking me for a seat.
There's room for one more. Come on, Lynn. I thought I accidentally made a character called Lynn that looks like this, so I was getting all this Lynn backstory.
She mentioned a mysterious city of monsters that was supposedly causing mischief, and then we arrived in Sunhaven.
Whoa, that's a majestic dragon on top of the train.
We were greeted by Lucia, Archmage and leader of Sunhaven, and Nathaniel the Handsome Beast.
Oh, what a handsome man.
They explained this strange purple fog was a wave of darkness that had just mysteriously appeared, perhaps caused by that monstrous town Lynn had mentioned. A mystery that I will no doubt be tasked with unraveling later. But for now, the beginning of day one, and farm time. There was a shipping portal through which I could sell stuff to earn 3 different currencies. There were some skill trees for the 5 professions.
Big juicy skill tree here.
There was a map, and a relationships tab with the romanceable characters I could befriend. I wandered the farm, looking for a likely spot to plonk down my home.
Boing, boing, boing.
I placed it down and stepped inside for a look-see.
Who are you and why are you in my house?
Anne is a merchant, and she sold me a bunch of rusty tools and 15 wheat seeds to get me started on my farming exploits. I unleashed on these weeds with my scythe, and check out this long-distance mining.
What the heck?
I got to hoeing, and I found some purple tickets and a spring token in the dirt.
Level 2 farming already.
I chose Tiller's Tip, which increases the sell price of crops, and I planted and watered the wheat before chopping down a tree. The tree dropped mana orb, as well as logs, of course. By the way, I know it's pronounced mana, but I've been calling it mana since I first played Dota as a kid, so it's ingrained into my very bones. You'll get over it.
Crafting table. Does this go automatically? Yeah, it goes automatically, okay.
I chopped down another tree, planted a couple of green root seeds I'd found when chopping weeds, and an oak tree seed that had dropped from one of the fallen trees. It is good to make your lumberjack shenanigans as sustainable as possible. You know what else is good? Goats. Which got me wondering, you reckon any of them goats are gonna pop up in this video? I can do one better than just a goat. We have got the goat of all YouTube sponsors. You know what I'm talking about. Raid Shadow Legends. This game is free to play. It's on mobile so you can play it in bed, on the toilet, in the toilet. Follow your heart. Play it wherever. There are over 700 champions. There's a spicy mix of PvE and PvP content, and here are 3 compelling reasons to play Raid you may not know about. Number 1, there are billions of ways to customize your champions. Between leveling up, making the most of tavern upgrades, strategically giving each champion their own artifacts and masteries, and earning dungeon rewards like scrolls to upgrade those masteries. Number 2, the fun of the turn-based combat is in the strategy. You need to aim for synergy when choosing your team of champions. You need to pay attention to stats like speed in order to plan out which champion will attack first. You need to be thoughtful about the affinity of your champions, balancing their strengths and weaknesses, and the list goes on. Number 3, there is new content constantly. Not a month goes by without new champions and updates being added to the game. The content is quite literally endless. And up until May 15th, Raid is hosting a dragon egg hunt, where you'll be in with a chance to find in-game items and real-life prizes ranging from legendary Raid champions to Amazon gift cards with a total value of $20,000. Just download Raid Shadow Legends using the links below, copy your in-game player ID, and then head over to egghunt.plarium.com to get started. And when you use that sign-up link below, you'll also earn a bag of goodies, including the epic champion, Talia. Okay friends, back to Sunhaven. I turned in my first quest to Anne, earning some gold and 100 exploration experience, plus a choice of bonus reward. I chose 20 farming experience. And I chose my first exploration skill, Air Skip. It's a little zoomy move that you can use while jumping to zip forward. And I love mobility skills, so this was very juicy. It cost mana though, and I had a measly 10, so I couldn't exactly spam the Air Skip at this point. I headed to the general store where I met Emmett.
They sell seeds and furniture here. This looks like wallpaper maybe, or flooring. Cool.
I had a quest to harvest 40 wheat, so I bought as many wheat seeds as I could before heading east to visit Solon the blacksmith, as Emmett had tasked me with delivering him something.
I'm the flirtatious new farmer, that's true.
Beardy Baldy was a little protective of his new apprentice. Fair enough. What the heck?
That's a dingus dragon, if I've ever seen one.
It was up to me to clean up the landslide, apparently.
Are you gonna help Solon? You're gonna stand there with your silly, shiny, bald head. Unbelievable.
That dragon had been causing Solon quite the headache, so he asked me to speak to Lucia about it. He also gave me some mining experience as a reward for delivering the orders from Emmett. I chose farm experience for the bonus again. I pretty much always chose farm experience early on in the game, and I hit farming level 3, so I put another point into Tiller's tip for better crop sales. I earn skill points pretty quickly, by the way, so I won't tell you every single time, but I'll try to give you a good overview of my choices as we continue in the run. I chased down Lynn and gave one of these spring tokens as a gift. I have no idea what these are, but she'll love it, right?
See ya. I don't think she liked that.
I discovered the bulletin board, which offers 2 quests every day, and I accepted one to collect stones for some kid named Topi and apples for some lady named Rosa. There was also a calendar showing people's birthdays, but I'll be honest, I do not care about people's birthdays. I had 15 stones on me, so I immediately gave them to this kid, earning myself a mining level and a juicy perk that gives me bonus gold every day. I also got some community tokens.
Bernard will trade these for all sorts of amazing things at Town Hall. Okay.
I headed north to the town hall via this town square featuring a majestic vomiting dragon fountain. And Lucia's idea to deal with the pesky dragon was to use some bait to catch it. And lucky for us, we were overheard by this cat lady who said "nya" a lot. She suggested I get a big juicy fish as bait.
Sounds like a plan, yeah.
I discovered Emmett sold a few choice goods here, and Bernard sold goodies like stat point and skill point potions that could be bought with community tokens. I headed south, exploring a little on the way, and I found myself at the beach where Peter, gave me a fishing rod and a chunky grouper to use as dragon bait. I tried out fishing, a fairly simple minigame.
Gotcha. Am I done? Clownfish. Nemo.
I explored a little more before heading back to the farm to sell some stuff at the shipping portal before bed.
Oh, time still goes. Damn it. I thought it was paused while I was selling. Whoops.
The good Dr. Warnhart was generous enough to waive his fee for this first pass out, but he warned me it'd cost me from now on, so I resolved to get to bed before the midnight cutoff. I headed north to visit Rosa at the barracks. She gave me a sword and told me to whack the target dummy.
Whack. Whack.
And she gave me a crossbow and told me to shoot the target dummy. She gave me a choice between the two, and I chose the sword. I also handed in the 5 apples quest from yesterday. I visited the farming store, which sells seasonal crop seeds, but I opted to ignore these for now and instead headed next door to the general store, which sells year-round crop seeds, including wheat, which I bought a bunch of. Back at the farm, I found a most glorious surprise to the north of my home.
Oh, I can't go this way. There's this flaming Snorlax in the way. Get out of the way, Snorlax. Snackoon.
I needed to give the big chonker a snack of wheat and apples to get him to move. I planted all my wheat and got to watering, which was quite a process as the rusty can needed a refill after every 10 tiles. And I was pleased to see I could find key characters on the map, including Kitty. I tracked her down and gave her the chunky grouper Peter had given me last night. She told me she'd turn it into bait for the dragon and asked me to return to collect it tomorrow.
What are you? Duke, that's a big fella.
I then went exploring some more. I found the record store, I met this guy Claude, I found the pet store, very cute, I met Catherine the witch, and I tried to go north past the foggy train tracks, but Helmet Hair didn't let me. I found a couple of rundown shops I could repair, and this stall at which I could spend the seasonal tokens I'd been finding. Most excitingly, a mount was for sale.
Whistle will call your Buzzy Bumblebee companion to your side, increases your movements by 30%. I need 1,000 spring tokens.
I had 8 at this point, so 1,000 was going to be a stretch. I visited the museum, where old mate Covington enlisted me to donate various goodies and artifacts to 3 distinct rooms. The aquarium, where you obviously donate fish, the Hall of Culture, where I was able to immediately donate an apple and berry to the foraging bundle, and the Hall of Gems, where you donate mining stuff. In the morning, Anne gave me a basic furniture table, at which you can make mostly decorative stuff, and I watered all my crops before accepting the bulletin quest for the day. By the way, I only ever did about half of these daily quests, but I accepted most of them anyway, because as far as I could tell, there was no punishment for failing them. I bought yet more wheat seeds, met Jun the counselor, and visited Kitty to pick up the dragon bait. I also checked out the animal store where you can buy livestock. I checked out the bakery and the library too. Suffice to say there's a fair bit going on in this town.
Flawless trap. I think the trap's about 1/4 the size of the dragon, but fair enough.
The dragon was too smart to take the bait, and ended up becoming best friends with a reluctant Solon instead. For my part, I was pleased to receive some juicy experience points. I bought a carrot and tomato seed with the quest money I'd earned and returned home to plant, and I cleared a bunch more of the farm. I got some levels and placed a point in the exploration skill Good Neighbor, as this increases the community tokens awarded for bulletin board quests, and I was keen to gun for as many bonus skill points as possible using these at Bernard's shop.
What the hell? Oi! Oi!
Oi! So apparently in spring, cute little dragons come and eat your crops if you don't have a scarecrow. How rude.
Plan your first visit to Dragon's Meat. Dragon's Meat?
Lucia told me to meet her tomorrow morning and promised to escort me to Sunhaven's guardian, the dragon Elios. Apparently each new resident must meet with him as a rite of passage. I watered my crops and continued clearing the farm, mainly because destroying weeds was getting me farm experience really quickly and it was kind of addictive. I sold a bunch, including some spider's silk I'd found in the trees, and I crafted a chest out of wood planks in which I began saving one of each item for the museum donations. I maxed out the skill to make seed prices lower.
Alright, give me that. I got cheapy seeds.
And I immediately made the most of it, buying a sugarcane and onion seed. I did a couple of quests for Topi, giving him more stones and finding his lost notebook. And I headed east to the mines, making sure to grab any fruit I saw on the way.
Hello, Lynn. Do you want another orange? There you go. Am I best friends with her yet? It's moving apace. Yeah, I can go in the mines. Alright, let's check it out.
You can temporarily progress in the mines by finding a rusty key to unlock each level, and this progress resets daily. Or you can progress permanently by crafting keys and an anvil. At this point, I didn't even have an anvil, but I managed to progress to level 2 and collect a bit of copper ore before turning in another 5 apples to Rosa, and I returned to the farm to add some more stuff to the shipping portal.
Go away! You dingus. Huh? Whoa. Who are you? Weedle.
Some of my wheat was ready, which was nice, but the big Weedle idiot scattered dandelions all over my farm, which honestly was also kind of nice because destroying them gave me more farming experience. I had over 1500 gold, so I hit up the farmer's shop and bought one of every seed I could afford. And I asked Lucia to escort me to the dragon Elios.
Hello. That's a majestic mane.
He asked me a few profound questions, to which I gave profound answers. And apparently I impressed the big fella as he blessed me rather than eating me. He said he saw great potential in me, and that he'd reach out to guide me when the time was right. I earned plus 10 max mana for my efforts, and a combat level.
Give me that, because that increases tool speed as well. I like the sound of that.
Back in town, I was pleased that my increased mana meant I could do the zippy air jump move more often, and I used my questing money to buy a couple more seeds. I fruit foraged and then beach foraged.
Chest. Oh. Oh, get me some loot, man.
I also said hello to the vomiting fountain of Elios, and apparently it was impressed with my progress, so I was granted a bonus 4 to my maximum mana. I hit up the museum and donated a good chunk of the foraging stuff before returning home to plant and water all those spring crops I'd bought today. And I of course sold a bunch of stuff, as the only way to make money is to spend money on seeds, but to spend money on seeds you have to make money in the first place by selling lots of crap. This is the way. On day 6 I was once again greeted by the weed idiot, and also some rain, which was very juicy as it meant I didn't have to water my crops. I crafted a furnace overnight, so I slapped it down and put some copper onto smelt, and I hit level 12 farming, so I placed my first tier 3 skill point into jam making. I confronted Weedle, and he challenged me to some cheeky jump rope, which I immediately failed at.
If not defeated, Weedle will leave your farm on the 9th, okay.
So I resolved to ignore Weedle and simply put up with his infinite dandelions for a few days, as I am simply not athletic enough for such rambunctious jumping of ropes. I gave the Snorlax his 10 apples and 10 wheat.
Snackoon. Hey, you can see it here. Good job, buddy.
And finally, the passage north was clear. I bought a bunch more seeds, mainly carrots, as according to my quick maths, they had a solid profit margin, and with only 5 days to fully grow, they seemed like the best option. I picked up a few more quests, and let's just say there are lots of little quests in this game. Fetch quests, delivery quests, the odd combat quest.
Bro, I got so many quests. Quests for days.
As a rule of thumb, I just did all the quests that weren't too time consuming and couldn't really be bothered doing the others. I bought yet more carrot seeds with my quest reward gold, donated some more forageables to the museum, and was but 1 peach away from this bundle's completion. And I also donated a few things to the gem hall. I hit level 10 exploration and snagged myself an interesting skill, causing each bulletin quest completed to increase my maximum mana. I wrapped up the day with a planting and selling session, and just before bed I ate some blueberries, which increased my max mana to 29. I had just discovered this game has an interesting mechanic where each food provides a permanent stat buff with diminishing returns. So if you see my max health or mana randomly increasing, it probably means I ate some food for a cheeky buff. I queued up a farmer's table to craft, watered my crops, and when the table was ready, I checked it out.
Egg crossbow, carrot sword.
What? I could also craft scarecrows and totems to protect my crops. I cleared and collected a bunch, and then headed east down at the beach for the first time. I encountered a great many ridiculous crabs, engaged in a glorious battle, and was rewarded with some sand. I did some quests, including buying Solon some meat from the general store, which netted me a juicy gold reward. The shops are open from 8 AM to 8 PM by the way, which is quite convenient. They also don't take any days off. But on this particular day, I missed the 8 PM cutoff and was unable to purchase more seeds with my quest earnings.
Alright, let's try and get a jam maker happening.
Now that I'd maxed the jam skill out, I figured I better actually make use of it. But I needed more materials, so I chopped some trees and queued up a bunch of planks to craft. Oh, and it goes without saying by this point, but I sold a bunch of crap.
Yes, I get it. Stop showing me this idiot. Some juicy bars. Thank you, Lynn.
These are the tier 2 and tier 3 metals, and I barely had any copper by this point, so this was indeed very juicy. I put a jam maker onto craft, and this thing, would you believe it, makes jam.
Gives 50 farming experience. Alright, go on.
Different types of jam give different types and amounts of experience. I chopped a bunch more trees and kept plank production chugging along before discovering I could head west from this farm exit. There was a snackoon with a list of culinary demands, a bunch of forageables, and some leafies to kill. I found my first mana tome, which provided +2 max mana, and in this chest, my first ring, but it required combat level 5, so I couldn't use it just yet. Further west, there were some of these level 5 center pillars, and a leafy on steroids that I chose to flee.
Oh, they respawn just like that.
I had 2,300 gold, so I bought about 30 seeds before asking Rosa to escort me to Elios once more, as he had asked me to pay him a visit. The handsome dragon explained that a darkness was enveloping the world, and he needed to visit one of his kin to discuss strategy. But he didn't want to leave Sunhaven undefended, so he needed me to find him some glorite in the wilderness to the east of the village. He also gave me 10 more max mana, and a choice of iron tools. I grabbed the axe, and it was much faster at chopping than the rusty axe. Great news. I planted my crops, and unfortunately my iron axe still wasn't strong enough to chop down the big chonky stumps, so I was running low on room for fields. And I almost ran out of time too.
Oh, we're leaving it to the last second. Go, 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 go. Yeah, easy. Don't even worry about it, mate.
Weedle the idiot was finally gone on day 9. Goodbye, Weedle. I watered my crops, and I was beginning to wonder about automated watering, as I hadn't seen any sign of sprinklers, so I wasn't sure what the deal was. All I knew was I definitely didn't want to be using the watering can for the rest of my life.
Give me that loom, baby.
I continued questing, turning in the 40 wheat quest to Anne, who rewarded me with a juicy 200 farming experience, and a skill tome. I chose the farming one. I was of course all in on farming, because farming is the most profitable profession. My loom was done, so I plonked it down and gave it a look. It can turn silk into fabric, and it can craft fishing nets and cosmetic gloves. I bought a few more seeds and did a bunch more quests, including a bulletin quest for Anne that earned me a mining level, and a juicy skill perk that increases tool speed. I had accrued 80 community tokens from all these quests, so I hit up Bernard, and by this point I hadn't gotten my priorities straight. I thought some extra mana would be better than a skill point, so I bought 3 elixirs of mines and increased my total mana by 9, which is nice, but definitely not as good as a skill point. I bought yet more carrot seeds with my quest earnings, and spent so long addressing this crab infestation that I ran out of time to plant all my seeds before bed. And after a long morning of watering the crops, I said,
It's a long day. I think I save up for animals now.
I'd been dropping farming skill points into perks that improve animal produce sale price and yield, and I was also sick of watering, so I figured animals were definitely the way to go. I cleared more of the farm, including grabbing some spider silk from these trees, and I struck out in the late afternoon to get some quests done.
Hey, look at this. That's convenient. Give me the water crystals. I think I need them for another quest. Give me more mining experience.
Returning this lost letter to Tonya the courier earned me a speed potion, very juicy. And for all the big words I said about not caring about the NPCs, I gave Lynn an orange for her birthday.
You didn't want an orange for your birthday? How dare you?
Imagine spurning a heartfelt birthday orange. Despicable behavior.
Up to 3 hearts, not bad. The orange woo is working. What can I say? The ladies love oranges.
I bought 3 sugar and then randomly did some fishing.
Caught a crab.
I used the sugar I'd bought to make some more jam. Day 11 was off to a good start.
Yeah, it's raining.
Woo! I harvested and sold a bunch for a cheeky 1k profit, and I put some silk into the loom to make into fabric. I popped my speed potion and headed straight to the mines. Level by level, I broke stones until I found the rusty key, while collecting any ore or gems I saw and destroying all of these pots. On level 5 of the mines, it was a little toasty, and I found a nice cluster of copper nodes, which was even spicier. And on level 6, the first enemies of the mines, these charging slugs. I hit combat level 5 and had the option to pick up a fireball offensive spell, but I decided to go with a passive boost to attack damage.
Fireball sounds cool, but I don't want to use mana for fireballs. I want to use jumpy jumps. That's what my mana is for jumpy jumps, that's it.
I made my way to level 8, which had these profoundly annoying jumpy stepstones that were rather janky, and as it hit 10 PM I bailed, heading for home with a bag full of goodies including 36 copper ore, 8 sapphires, and 6 water crystals.
We got some carrots, baby.
I already had 3 grand in pocket by this point, and this juicy harvest was going to get me 4 grand overnight, so this represented some good momentum on my path to riches. I used these logs to get my copper ore smelting into bars.
Should I get a cow or 2 chickens?
I opted for a cow.
The cow's just in my bag. Beautiful.
I handed in a quest to Bernard and unlocked one of the juiciest skills in the game. It rewards you community tokens every time you give a gift.
Kind of like that. Just give everyone oranges.
I put it into practice immediately, gifting Anne an apple. So for the rest of the run, my gift giving expanded just beyond my train buddy Lynn. I indiscriminately gave fruit out, purely out of self-interest. Higher quality gifts do earn more tokens from this skill, but more on that later.
Oh, you're romanceable, Warnheart. That's great news. Have an apple.
I love using my friends for personal gain, truly a joy. I crabbed, collected, cleared, and then cowed.
Yay! Pet cow. Oh, give me milk. Sells for 192. Oh. And it gives some permanent mana. Nice. You make a lovely moo, my friend. Good job.
I crafted an anvil from 4 copper bars, so I placed it down and queued up a copper pickaxe and copper key to craft. I'd received some lanterns as reward for a quest today, so I whacked them down because why not? And on day 13, I hit level 20 farming and unlocked food delivery, which gets me some free animal food in the mail once a week. My friend the cow will love that. And I picked up my copper pickaxe and key. I was finally able to replace another of my rusty tools. I received more milk from the cow. It looks like the produce yield is daily. Very nice. And I of course fed the big girl because I am a very responsible caretaker. I ran around town grabbing quests and bandying about with fruit before heading east into the wilderness. I was pleased to find apples. Gotta maintain my pile of gifts. Further east, most of the trees had silk ready to harvest, and I found Albert's sword for a quest, as well as some pinchy monsters.
Oh, he got me.
And to the north, the entrance to the Glorite caves.
Oh, hello.
These nerds were trying to steal all the Glorite, and I needed some to give to Elios, so I got into a vicious battle with them.
Creepy, man. Look at this guy. He's just a demented blank expression. I don't appreciate it. Frankie, you're dead, mate. Oh, Frankie's given up. Frankie hates life.
I defeated the creepy ventriloquist doll and earned myself a Glorite crystal. I decided to investigate further into the deep wilderness.
Run! I don't want to fight you. You're huge.
I headed back to town and bought another cow and my first chicken, as well as some animal food to keep me going for a few days. And I asked Rosa to escort me to Elios yet again. I gave him the Glorite crystal, which he used to cast a protective spell over Sunhaven, allowing him to depart and visit his kin to discuss the threat of the stinky fog. And I got more max mana in reward.
Oh, what do you want? Oh, here you go, Albert. You big dingus.
I welcomed my new animals to the party, and this new cow procced double milk. Very milky. By the way, I had a second chest by this point, but my stuff was by no means organized. For now, it was a jumble while I was making sense of things. I did get organized later though, I promise. In the morning, I harvested crops and tended to my animals.
See, this is gonna make me lots of money every day. Nice.
I scaled up the livestock operation with another chicken and then headed to the mines. I used my copper key to permanently unlock level 2 and then continued my spelunking. The goal was obviously to get as much copper as possible so I can make keys and get myself down to the iron levels and so on and so forth, upgrading my tools as I go. I had a lucky day, finding a few juicy clumps of copper nodes, and once I descended past level 5 I had to deal with monsters, but I didn't mind too much as I needed the combat experience. And at 10:40 PM I managed to descend all the way past level 10 of this section of the mines, featuring a shipwreck and some curvaceous tentacles. This chest rewarded me nicely for my efforts.
Can I get back in an hour? Yeah, easy. It only takes like 30-40 minutes from the mines. Not bad.
I managed to collect a whopping 69 copper ore, so I whacked all those onto smelt and hit the hay. On day 15 I awoke to Elios's summons, and news that the fate of Sunhaven may be at stake.
Oh, not another weed idiot. What the heck? Never mind, not a weed idiot. They're giving me free copper. Fair enough.
I collected some copper bars and put 4 copper keys onto craft, tended to my animals, and queued up a large fishing net at the loom. I watered my remaining crops, accepted my first Sunday animal food gift from Kitty in the mail, and chopped a bunch of trees because I wanted more planks. I bought another cow and chicken and then headed to have a chat with Elios.
Powerful spell has been cast over the monster folk city of Withergate. Travel west to the elven city Nelvari and find the world dragon Navara.
So my ultimate goal was to investigate the trouble at the monster folk city, but Elios recommended I head to the elves first to learn a thing or two. And to get the ball rolling for that, he suggested I head to the library to learn more about the elves, because they weren't just going to let me into their leafy village. I'd have to figure out a way to endear myself to them.
I thought this was cheaper. I shouldn't have bought the cow and the chicken. Oh, I'll buy it tomorrow.
I chatted to the librarian, and she said they had one book on the Nelvari elves, but I needed permission from Lucia to obtain it. Lucia said I could give it a read, but I needed some delicate gloves to handle it and avoid damaging it. I fetched some medicine for Warnheart, and this quest helped me hit farming level 22, granting access to tier 5 skills and a most glorious spell.
Earthquake spell, shake up the earth, instantly tilling. Okay.
This inspired me to check out later skill levels, which I hadn't bothered looking at yet, and I saw that tier 7 had a rain cloud spell for watering my crops. Very very juicy. With this realization, I sensed a renewed passion for crop farming in my future. Since I didn't want to farm en masse just yet, I forewent Earthquake in favor of this perk that gets me gold per livestock every day. I did plant a few wheat though, as wheat is useful for a number of crafts. I queued up an oven and juicer to craft, as well as a few more copper keys, and while I was investigating how to craft the delicate gloves for the quest...
Alright, give me some delicate gloves. I got plenty of... Oh, what? I didn't realize I was late. Damn it. I was just trying to make gloves. How much money did I just lose?
I lost 300 gold, but at least I was able to give Warnheart an orange first thing.
Yes, rocks. Rawr.
I really wish they'd stop showing me unstoppable idiot cutscenes. I cleared some of the rock boys' mess, sold the day's small harvest and produce, and placed down the oven and juicer. These of course make food and juice. I queued up some apple juice, as I hoped these would prove a better gift than apples and perhaps earn me 2 community tokens per gift instead of 1. By the way, my large net was in the water by this point, and it was kind of slow to yield. I was not impressed. I completed a bunch of quests, opting for any bonus gold I could as I wanted money for a barn, and I had accrued over 60 community tokens again, so I bought myself a farming skill potion and unlocked Earthquake. Then it was into the mines, where I totally ignored all the levels and used my copper keys to unlock all the way down to the tentacle level, but I was short 1 copper key, so I couldn't progress down to level 11 just yet. I made the delicate gloves at the loom and gave Lucia some of that fresh apple juice, hoping it'd earn me an extra token. It did not.
Yes, I get it. This idiot.
Rocks, rocks, rocks. Actually, quite a lot of rocks. Some were giving me gold and copper though, as well as mining experience, so I wasn't bothered. I stopped by the library and used my delicate gloves to gingerly handle the elven book.
Telleth eso sendora, lesos teles, antala bashora. Mara eso olores.
The librarian suggested I chat to a drunken elf who chills at the tavern, as he might be able to translate it for me. I hit up the museum and donated most of the spring crops bundle and some of the summer crops bundle somehow, and I also donated a few items to the combat bundle and exploration bundle. I bought a barn, automatic feeder, and automatic collector from Town Hall Emmett, and then paid the inebriated elf a visit. He told me it was presumptuous to assume he spoke in Elvari just because he's an elf. Not every elf speaks all the elven languages. The librarian came up with Plan B, the legendary Stone of Tongues, an artifact that can be used to understand different languages. And the merchant happened to own the Stone of Tongues, and she was happy to lend it to me if I collected her goods from the wilderness, as her dog had gone rogue and buried them out there. I nodded along politely, but privately I was of the opinion that this questline was getting a little outrageous. I wrapped up the day finding a spot to place down my new barn.
Yes, I get it. The rock idiot is making rocks. Good job, rock idiot.
Each barn increases the livestock cap by 8, so in the morning I bought my first sheep, plus some more animal food, and then moved all the animals to the barn, including the cow and chicken that had been stuck in a chest overnight. And I of course filled up the auto feeder, and placed down the auto collector too, so I can essentially ignore these nerds now aside from restocking food every now and then. I headed to the mines with 1 more copper key and made my way to level 11, the beginning of the iron ore levels. I fought and collected my way level by level with rusty keys.
Gold.
Clearly I was still buzzing from watching the Mario movie. I found a couple of rubies and a solid haul of iron, arriving home with 36 ore at the end of the evening. The morning of day 19 began in a glorious fashion.
Yes, the rock idiot is still here.
I used my freshly smelted iron bars to craft an iron pickaxe before collecting produce from the auto collector and buying a bunch of seeds.
Whoa. Why is there no sound effect? Yeah, I'm gonna have to redesign my farm based on that shape. I need farming skill to get the rain thing, and then I can go absolutely banonkers. But I will for now make an iron watering can. Yes, one of those.
My new iron pickaxe made short work of Krusty's rocks, so I cleaned up for a bit before heading west, where I fought nerds and collected a bunch. Most notably, the 4 sacks of treasure for Anne's quest. I also found some peaches, which was great news as this was the last item needed for the museum's foraging bundle. I then stumbled into a rather strange encounter.
Oh goodness me. Whoa, that's one big slime. Ow! Run! I'll come back for you, slime. I have no armor and a copper sword, so I think it's an unwise plan to fight you.
I continued west and found a shift in biomes.
Oh, what is going on here? Okay, so I think that's the way to get to the Novari elf people.
I could go no further, and I'd found all the treasure stacks for Anne's quest, so I headed home. In the morning, I queued up some iron gloves and then headed to buy another animal.
I will get pig. Give pig.
Pigs produce earth crystals daily, which aren't exactly profitable, but according to the tooltip, they keep the other animals happy, so I figured that was probably useful. The sheep's wool sold pretty well though, at 275 gold a pop. I also made a habit of selling the fabric I was making, as I didn't seem to have much use for it, and they sold for a solid 280 gold a piece. I did my daily fruit giving and turned in the 4 treasure sacks to Anne, who provided me with a loan of the Stone of Tongues in turn.
Plant a seed inside your bed, grow a dream inside your head, sleep in soil rich and dark, leaves coiled up in bedtime bark. Hello?
The librarian sent me back to the drunk elf because that worked really well last time. He told me the mysterious text was an elven lullaby, but he said he'd only tell me what it means if I paid off his enormous bar tab. It turned out he owed Murray the tavern keep a bunch of fancy grapes that he'd been too lazy to grow, so I took the seeds and headed home to plant them. I cleared the farmer bunch and hit level 24 farming, unlocking the propagation skill that provides a small chance to receive double crops when harvesting, and in the morning I found that Edwin the elf had done me dirty.
Edwin, you gave me dead crops.
I decided to turn the day's milk into cheese in this cooking pot, as I wanted to see if the profit increase was worth the effort.
Edwin, you dirty liar.
Edwin explained I needed to infuse mana into the grapes, so it was time for round 2 of Elvish grape cultivation. But first it was time for a mana lesson from Lucia. She used many words to simply say, press E to infuse a crop with mana. I'd bought some more seeds, so I planted those as well, and the mana infusion cost 5 mana a pop, so I had to eat a bunch of mana restoring foods, but I got there eventually. The grapes were ready in the morning, looking much healthier thanks to the infusions, and I got a juicy dose of farming experience, which is making me wonder why I didn't plant more grapes in this playthrough. One day crop growth time is overpowered. I tended to the animals, foraged a bit, and made my first composter. This takes earth crystals plus various items to make different types of fertilizer. I left it unused for now. I did the fruit and quest rounds, bought a few more seeds, and bought a chicken to fill my 1 remaining animal slot on the farm. I delivered Edwin his grapes, and he was amazed I'd actually succeeded, and he was forced to admit that the Elvish book had no significant meaning. It was just a lullaby. But he believed the connection to nature I demonstrated in my grape growing was just the thing the elves would be impressed by, and he thought my infusion ability was the ticket I needed to enter their city. I informed Lucia of my progress, and she asked me to meet her and Nathaniel at the barracks before I left on my adventure. So I went to meet them, but as I arrived, the clock struck 8.
I was literally 1 second too late. No. I've got iron gloves and an iron sword now. Do I own these guys? Yeah, I can kill them rather fast.
As you can see, my new combat upgrades were quite effective. On day 23, I watered my crops. The iron watering can fits about double the water, and its animation is much quicker, by the way, so it wasn't too painful watering. And I discovered you can make mana restoring smoothies out of raspberries and blueberries at the juicer, so I made a few as mana was definitely at a premium.
Let's have a check. Got a fair few hearts with a fair few people, and each of those hearts gets me gold every day, so I like that.
I picked up a perk that gave daily gold per heart of friendship I have with the villagers, so my fruit giving shenanigans were paying gold dividends on top of the community token dividends. It really does pay to manipulate and exploit your friends. I recommend it highly. I decided I needed a better animal food solution, because up until now I'd been spending 100 gold per feed at the animal shop. I worked out 1 wheat yields 2 animal food, and wheat seeds are only 40 gold a pop, so that's 20 gold per animal food, or even cheaper if you consider bonus crops, and this would drastically improve the profit margin of my farm animals. I visited the barracks, and Lucia and Nathaniel thanked me for my wonderful efforts and gave me some gifts. The Sunhaven crest, which provided a permanent 10 mana boost, and some boots, of which I was particularly fond.
Nice. 3% move speed.
Have I mentioned I love a good boost in mobility?
Give me more farming ones. Nice.
As you can see, my questing and fruit giving continued to pay off, as my farming skill points slowly edged towards unlocking that juicy looking rain spell.
Can I give you this? You just gave me that. You didn't even notice. It's fine. See ya.
Apparently Lucia has short-term memory issues, which is a bit concerning in a town leader, but she's still better than Lewis, so it's fine. I planted all the wheat, and it was a bit of a schmozzle due to the abundance of unbreakable rocks and stumps, but I made it work. The expansion of my crop fields meant I had an extensive watering session each morning, and even with the iron watering can, it took me almost until midday. I of course yoinked the animal produce from the barn daily too, and sold it for cash flow. By the way, the cheese only sells for a touch better than the raw milk, so I made a few more, but eventually ended up deciding I couldn't be bothered with cheese production and ultimately opted for whacking the milk straight into the selling portal. I used one of my iron keys on this chest, and it wasn't too bad a bounty as I found my second ring and a couple of speed potions. I hit up the mines, and after a few levels I had barely any iron, so I said,
why is there no iron? Give me iron. What is all this copper doing? Give me... Oh, there's a fair bit of iron too. I'll allow it. That's fine.
I hit level 20 of the mining profession and unlocked the Vacuumulus spell. I only used it once because it costs heaps of mana, but I dreamed of improving my max mana and more importantly my mana regen to the point where I could crush the mines using this spell. I managed to collect 29 iron ore, among other things, so it wasn't too bad a haul for the day. After the next morning's watering, I turned in a quest and hit farming level 27, unlocking rank 3 Earthquake, which reduced the mana cost down to 30. I did the questing and fruit giving song and dance, you know the drill, and then hit up the mines again. I hadn't made any more iron keys yet, so it was another day of descending via the rusty key method. And look at this, very satisfying. I hit level 21 mining and ranked up Vacuumulus again.
Here we go, ready? Oof. Oh yeah.
And I hit mining level 22. And with access to tier 5 skills, I was able to pick up Mystic Miner, which restores mana when breaking a stone node with a pickaxe. This was great news, as it meant I could relatively quickly regain the 30 mana I needed for Vacuumulus just from destroying rocks. And so this combo of skills proved a great improvement in my mining speed. All the way down at level 20, I found my first adamant ore in the wild, and earned yet another mining skill point which I dumped into Mystic Miner. I managed to collect 47 iron ore. I whacked some iron keys onto craft overnight. I had a solid harvest on day 26, and my overnight earnings were set to clear 9,000 gold. I finally made a chest specifically for mining materials, and I even organized it a little. I bought a rather expensive raspberry tree seed. 5,500 gold is nothing to sneeze at, but my logic was they'd be helpful as a consumable for mana regeneration, particularly if I turn them into smoothies with the juicer.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can destroy these.
I ate berries to regain mana and finally cleared a few of these huge boulders from the farm, earning me some heavy stone. It was shiny wheat time on day 27. Oh, and I collected a fish from this net. Have I mentioned this net sucks? It gives me crappy fish every 2 days or so. Very stinky. I whacked my wheat on to turn into 136 animal food. I was pleased to find Liam had sent me Oreos and milk in the mail. And then...
Alright, so I think I have it. Yeah, baby.
This spell costs a whopping 60 mana until you've dropped 3 points into it, which reduces the mana cost to 40. But man oh man, it is a juicy spell.
Oh, it's pretty big.
It's kind of weird how it makes no noise though. I headed into the wilderness to the east and had a double chest bonanza, but sadly didn't get anything too exciting. And I marched out in search of chimchucks, some monster I needed to kill 10 of for a quest. I found my first up on this ledge throwing bananas at me. Outrageous behavior. Just north of the offending monkey, I found this bloke.
Clive? Taxi man.
He was out of commission due to a lost wheel, apparently missing to the east.
Ow! Yeah, we're fine, calm down.
I found old mate's wheel and continued on my way murdering monkeys and turtles with glee. Once I'd killed enough for the quest, I returned to the taxi.
I found your wheel. What? A new hub. Okay, I gotta bring this idiot an iron bar.
This Snorlax wanted some items that were drops from the monsters I had been collecting, so I was able to get him to move. Beyond him was a jumpy jump area, and at the end of it, this random moon well. It was pretty, and it gave me 5 max mana. I turned in the monkey genocide quest to this dude, and when I got home, I realized something.
Oh, I have one. I have one on me. No! I had one on me the whole time.
Sorry, Clive, I'll get it to you on the morrow.
Alright, lots and lots and lots and lots of animal food. Yeah. Spit it out.
That should keep these nerds going. I picked up 2 days of yield, because I guess I forgot yesterday, and I blew up some big boy rocks. On my way to my guy Clive, I did a little exploring.
Bethany. Okay.
I gave Clive his iron bar, and he repaired his taxi, opening up the option to have him taxi me from this random spot in the bush to Sunhaven. I didn't take him up on his taxi service just yet though, as I wanted to continue exploring the wilderness. I found level 40 prickle pops, and laboriously slashed them to death, which took about 5 years, so after that I gave up on exploring and headed back to Clive.
Oh, it costs 200 gold? Come on, Clive. Alright, well that's kind of useful.
And then it was time for the Lunar Festival, the final day of spring's special event.
Fire in our hearts, represented by the candles that will carry our wishes aloft in the sublime evening air. I can smell summer blowing in on the wind already.
I bought some box lanterns, a lantern spirit pet, and an ox and rooster plushie before restraining myself as I didn't want to spend all my gold heading into summer.
I released my lantern. Look how big my eyes are. Very cool. I don't know why there's a random theme park. Since when is there like a roller coaster? Silly chicken lantern. Give me the rooster lantern. So cool.
And with that, spring was over. Check out my lantern spirit on the first day of summer.
Oh, summer tokens. Oh my gosh, it's on fire? What the hell?
So apparently there's a chance for crops to randomly be on fire every morning in summer. It must be flamin' hot. I bought 5 of each summer crop, plus some more wheat seeds. I donated a couple of random fish I got, and I donated a peach, finishing off the foraging bundle, which earned me a few rewards.
Hardwood ring. Drops 8 hardwood every morning. Wow. Provides a small amount of mana regen permanently. Let's go. Foraging ring. 20% chance to gain an extra forageable.
I obviously drank the potion immediately for a tiny boost to mana regen, and I whacked the foraging ring on because bonus forageable sounds good to me. To round out the day, I unleashed my spells to get all the planting done. One rain cloud covers 2 earthquake tilled areas comfortably, so I made my default crop setup like this for the rest of the run. I had rank 2 rain cloud at this point, so it cost me 50 mana per use. So with 166 max mana, I had enough to get the watering done almost instantly each morning. Absolutely glorious. The flame spots needed some extra water though, which was a bit annoying, but what you gonna do? I received a record in the mail from Kitty. I spotted a beachy Snorlax who I never bothered feeding because I didn't really care if my beach bridge was blocked, and my faithful fruit giving and sporadic questing had earned me 60 community tokens. So I bought another farming skill point and maxed out my rain cloud skill, reducing its mana cost to 40. Considering this cost reduction, I figured I might as well plant a 4th line of crops, because as the mathematically well endowed will perceive, 4 times 40 is 160, and I had 166 mana. I also made a tile maker, at which you can craft floor tiles.
Oh no, I pressed... Gosh, dang it. Son of a gun. Let's try that again. Stop! What do you... Oh, does it go where my cursor's pointing? Damn it, I'm stupid.
I'd thought the rain cloud would begin urinating in the direction you're facing, but it turns out it goes where your cursor is pointing. This threw quite a spanner in the works, because my mathematical genius hadn't accounted for any wayward rain clouds. Fortunately, I had some blueberry smoothies to make up the mana deficit. I tidied up the random dirt a bit, and I think my little farm looks pretty neat, even with random giant stumps and boulders clogging everything up. I headed towards the mines, but there was a majestic golden Snorlax in the way, and he wanted to eat some delicious iron bars. Fortunately, Solon sells these pretty cheap, so I bought them and earned myself a minor Snackoon plushie. I used iron keys to get down to level 16, where I ran out, and I continued on with the rusty keys, unleashing vacuumuluses and collecting up a storm as I went. I earned the mining skill levels to max out both vacuumulus and the mystic miner talents, so I was at peak mana efficiency. I made it past level 20 and found the way to level 21 blocked by this big fella. I fed him some stone and iron ore, but didn't have quite enough copper ore or rubies to get him out of the way, so I backtracked and continued collecting, and I was just shy of the copper needed by the end of the day.
Get in a bed, you donut.
What?
I'm in bed.
No!
Alright, let's make a jeweler's desk.
As you might expect, you can make jewelry at this table.
Oh, give me this. I need combat level 30, 10 diamonds. This is what I want.
I was desperate for mana regen, no doubt, no doubt. I made 3 more furnaces to speed up my smelting endeavors and rearranged my tables and machines a little. I bought my first scarecrow finally. These are season specific, as each season is plagued by different crop thieves. I headed north and Helmet Hair let me pass as I'm quite famous now. There was an abandoned cottage and a random giant sandstone quarry featuring a fishing spot. I caught an old boot.
Nice. Alright, I gotta go home. I'm running late. Oh crap.
I didn't make it. I placed my summer scarecrow and found it perfectly covered 2 of my crop areas. Quite convenient. And I spent the bulk of the day in the mines. I had enough iron keys to unlock down to level 19, and I rusty keyed my way onward, giving this buff the remaining 2 copper ore and continuing down onto level 21 and beyond. I managed to collect 28 iron ore and 21 adamant ore, and when I returned home, the adamant pickaxe I queued up to craft was ready. I harvested wheat, potatoes, and pineapples on day 34, and then tried out my new pickaxe on these boulders. I queued up an adamant axe to craft so I could get rid of the stumps too. I bought some seeds and replanted in the space freed up by this morning's harvest, and when my axe was ready to go, I decimated some chunky stumps. Finally, the clutter was beginning to go. As you can see, I made 2 more summer scarecrows at the farming table. They cost 10 wheat each, so my crops were now protected from thieves. And I, of course, was selling stuff daily. And the core of my cash flow came from my livestock produce, which earned me 2 or 3 grand each day. I investigated cooking options that provided permanent buffs to mana, and discovered I had the ingredients for some energy smoothies, so I queued up a bunch. I'd also begun refining sugar from sugarcane at the baker's table, and using this sugar to make jams for some boosts to experience. I bought yet more seeds and used the newly cleaned area here to lay down another crop field, and I spent the evening clearing the farm some more.
Uh-oh. There's another idiot. What idiot do we have now? What angry monster?
So I guess that bugged, but it was still a relief to hear the invisible monster had left my farm. Good riddance. I had a juicy harvest, and after saving 1 of each new crop for the museum, I sold the rest for a record 11 grand. And with that, it felt like the farm was finally in full swing. I'd made some peach jam, and it gave me 80 farming experience and 50 fishing experience, so I thought that was pretty good. Gotta get fishing levels somehow. I hit level 32 farming and unlocked the tier 8 skills, and I picked up one that increased the amount of farm animals I could keep. I immediately bought 2 more cows. The barn may have been a little crowded. I spent my remaining 5 grand on a bunch more seeds, and I spent another evening clearing the farm. When tending to my animals, I discovered one of my cows had gone hungry, so I hit up the town hall and bought another feeding station. And while there, I impulsively bought the tier 2 house upgrade blueprint. The feeding station was automatically filled when I placed it in the barn, so that was that, and I gathered logs and began crafting planks, as I needed heaps for the house upgrade. I had 3 crafting tables by this point to speed up plank production. I made my first keg, which I'd unlocked from a farming skill, and you can brew coffee in it, which provides a permanent movement speed buff, so that was cool. But beyond that, I wasn't too interested in what the keg offered. Anyway, I finally had enough materials for the house upgrade.
Oh, there we go. It upgraded. Just like that. Let us look inside. Ooh.
Have I mentioned the spellcasting approach to tilling and watering is pretty cool? The fact that mana management factors into it makes it more of a resource management consideration than you might think. But it's a fun challenge to deal with by using your mana wisely, keeping mana food on hand, and working to increase your max mana and mana regeneration. Speaking of which, I chose to buy 4 mana elixirs, increasing my total mana by 12. That cost 100 community tokens, so I gave up almost 2 skill points. But I guess at this point, juicing up that mana pool was more important to me. Again, I think this was a mistake. I also bought another barn. And here's a reminder that I was still knocking over quests and handing out fruit, pretty much daily. I went for a late mines run, permanently unlocking my way down to level 21, and using rusty keys from there to collect as much adamant ore as possible. On day 39, I had a few things to harvest, including some coffee beans, which I put into the keg to make a coffee. It was set to take about 40 hours to brew, so I'm not sure if that's optimal for the average morning routine. I collected the adamant bars I'd put on to smelt overnight and queued up some adamant keys, and I bought 3 chickens. 2 of them became the first residents of this new barn, and this one became the final resident of my first barn. Clearly, I was very excited about it. I undertook a most glorious beach forage, and I was particularly impressed by this kid that managed to build a giant octopus out of sand. And I went on a donating spree at the museum, contributing items to a number of bundles. The next morning, I had a rather glorious harvest, and I used some of the rice I'd collected along with seaweed from that massive beach forage to make some sesame balls, another mana food. I also put on a bunch more animal food to craft. I headed into the mines, and I got outplayed by a flame imp.
You stupid fireball idiot.
After that failure, I randomly decided to head west into the wilderness, and after collecting quite a large pile of goodies, I ended back at this gargantuan slime. I don't know why, but I decided to fight him, and it was quite the process. He shot boogers and summoned boogers, and I didn't do much damage. But I eventually realized the strategy was to just stand there whacking him, and simply heal through his damage by eating mushrooms. Finally, I vanquished the beast.
What? Nothing happened. I'm going to here. Hello. What is this place? Okay, so there's another dungeon here that I can enter. Oh, I just lost like 800 gold.
I had a quest to hand into Warnheart, and I of course gave him an apple, so waking up in the hospital wasn't all bad. After a decent harvest and a couple of chores, I headed back out and was disappointed to discover a certain green idiot was resurrected.
What? What is going on? I have to fight you every time I want to go in this dungeon? Is that the idea? You silly willy.
There were a bunch of chests over here that unlock once you defeat certain levels of the dungeon, so I went ahead and did what I came for. Into the dungeon I went. There was a level with lots of tiny leaves. There was a big leaf level, a center pillar level, a leaves plus center pillar level, and who can believe the center pillars didn't just eat the leaves, am I right? Then a giant Torto level, which took me like 3 years to kill, and a Torto plus monkey level, a quadruple monkey level, a slug plus monkey level, and a slug plus bat level, which I had a bit of trouble beating.
I think I want to leave now. I don't think I got to level 10 then, though. Oh, I should have just done one more level. Floor 5 dungeon key.
I was able to open the first 2 chests, earning items that granted permanent buffs, plus 5% more combat experience, and plus 4 defense.
What? What? Bro, what is this janky nonsense? What is it? Why are you trying to fight me again? I've killed you twice now, you stupid slime.
In the morning, I bought one of every flower seed, as I need these for the flower museum bundle, and I planted them along with a bunch of crop seeds to fill up my crop fields once more. I bought 2 cows and 2 chickens, and then went on quite a questing rampage, including going into Peter's fish shop for the first time.
So many tokens today. I also actually cleaned up almost all my quests.
I then hit up the music festival.
Oh, I can't afford both posters. We've got the rockin' poster, and we're gonna get the, I like the purple one. We're getting the purple electric guitar. Woo! Yeah, this is little Elvis. Little blonde Elvis. What the hell? Green haired Elvis, really. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. The random dragons breathing fire is a beautiful touch.
On day 43, I awoke to a rather rude visitor.
Hello? Oh. Massive squid. Oh dear. Shooting ink everywhere.
I tended to my farm, and I placed up my musical decorations before cleaning up some of the ink with my watering can and going to see what all the fuss was about.
Alright, Peter, what's the problem? What is this inky idiot? Talk to me.
Apparently the big squid was Peter's nemesis, as it had stolen his favorite hook. Peter had a plan though, and he asked me to join him, so off we went.
We're gonna blow the squid up. Sounds good.
There were bomb fish in the water out here, so Peter tasked me with catching a whopping 50 of them, which we'd chuck in the cannon and shoot the big squid in the face. It sounded like a flawless plan to me, except I had only fished like 3 times up until this point, so I was a little underprepared. I managed to catch 15 before heading back home, with a promise to Peter that I'd join him to catch the rest tomorrow. And here's a record update. By this point, I'd received 4 in the mail from various friends. I hit level 36 farming and unlocked an important skill, Golden Heart, which gives my animals a chance to produce golden produce. I finished off the spring crop bundle finally, and earned myself a spring scarecrow, a seed maker, and the recipe for magical fertilizer.
Squid guy is still here. Alright, I'm just gonna do the crops and then we're gonna do a day of squid.
I watered the crops, planted a bunch of oak trees. I bought 20 yesterday as I wanted to stay on top of my wood farming, and
Oh yeah, I got golden milk. Oh, it sells for $6.60. Okay, that's worth.
then it was time to catch bombfish. And here's a little level update.
Level 34 exploration, 36 farming, 30 mining, 21 combat, 10 fishing. Fishing was on like level 3 or 4 before I started this outrageous squid exploding quest.
Obviously, there's a lot of skills I picked up in there that I haven't told you about, but I've told you about the most interesting ones. And as a general rule, just know I prioritize picking skills that made me do stuff faster, get more items, increase my mana, or earn more money and tokens. Anyway, after catching all them bomb fish, it was time.
Oh gosh. I want to see an explosion. Why do I get a black
I earned myself Hermie the Squid as a pet.
Yeah, Hermie.
The flames were impressively immune to the rain on day 45. I bought 3 more cows and a chicken, as my max livestock count had ballooned to 34 thanks to the extra barn and extra skill points in a farming perk. I spent ages petting them over and over, getting them past a full heart, as that's when they become capable of producing golden items. It took a long time, and then I went ahead and bought another barn. I placed the 3rd barn down here, and then resumed petting any animals that weren't fully loved. I had plenty of wheat to harvest in the morning, and I replanted mostly wheat seeds, because if you can't tell, I was all in on livestock as my key money-making enterprise, and that meant I needed to go to the next level with animal food production. I spent most of the daylight hours petting my animals. I really want those gold items. I also engaged in a feeble attempt at decorating, placing down some wooden fencing. I do enjoy decorating in games like this, but it's always a late game indulgence. The early game is for optimization and progress. I handed some quests in and dished out some fruit, and then
Let's do some fishing. Why not? A molten slug. Goodness me. Look at this guy. Oh, that was close. Oh yeah. Get into my big toe. Chromafin. Legendary fisherman. Did I just catch a legendary fish? Am I a beast? Well, it sells for 815. Holy dooly. Going all in. Give me 2 more sheep. Another pig, why not? Another cow.
These guys found home in my 3rd barn, and I mercilessly petted them for a while before growing bored and heading to the mines. I had enough adamant keys to get me down to level 28, and I rusty keyed my way down to the 3rd chest room before heading home to make use of this leash I bought earlier in the day.
Hermie follows me now. Let's go, Hermie.
After a juicy harvest, I gained another farming level, and unlocked a skill granting mana regen on the farm. I was pleased. I popped this iron helmet I crafted onto my noggin, finally upgrading my armor a little, and I queued up a bunch more sugar and crafted some wooden beams.
Alright, you got any gold for me today? Alright, here we go. Gold wool's not that good. Gold milk is where it's at, man. I should have just got cows. Cows are definitely the way to go.
So I bought some more cows. Too many cows, actually. I replaced the 2 sheep and then had 2 random extra cows for some reason.
Let's just put our random excess animals in here.
I was making plenty of money, so who cares if some of the expensive animals are just chilling in a chest? No big deal.
We can put a carrot sword onto craft.
I cut down a heap of trees, as I needed more beams for an item even more excellent than the carrot sword.
Carrot sword. Yeah, let's go. It's an orange blur of destruction. These flowers not ready. Oh, the flowers are ready. Let's make an egg crossbow.
I bought a ton of seeds, most notably 200 wheat and 60 carrots.
My crossbow's ready.
My steady questing and gift giving had earned me another 60 plus community tokens, so I bought another farming skill point from Bernard before heading up the museum with a bag full. I donated a couple of fish, the entire flower bundle.
Got some bouquets. Oh, it's a great gift. Nice, I'll give those gifts out freely and hopefully they get me bonus community tokens. That's all I care about.
And I almost finished off the summer crop bundle and the exploration bundle. I rounded out the day with a run in the mines, skimming through the 20 plus levels looking for more adamant ore, and check out the egg crossbow in action. I had another juicy wheat harvest on day 50. These take 4 days to fully grow, by the way, so the harvests are quite regular. I replanted some carrots and more wheat, smelted the adamant ore from yesterday, cooked a carp I found in a fishing net because fried carp randomly gives a large permanent boost to attack damage, and I queued up some jams too. And when the fried carp was ready,
let's eat it. +2 attack damage. I only had 9 before apparently, so that's a huge increase. Large indeed. Come here, Nathaniel. I got a flower for you, buddy. Now, you better give me 3 community tokens.
Excellent news. A more effective way to exploit my friends. I hit up the mines again and reached mining skill level 32, unlocking Master Armorer so that my crafted armor pieces now provide an additional attack bonus. This late mines run netted me another 36 adamant ore. In the morning I queued up some adamant keys and an adamant chest piece and gloves to craft.
Golden pomegranate. That must be what the pig drops. Doesn't sell for much, but it gives 2 health and 2 mana permanently. That is good.
It also gives you 200 gold when you eat it.
Alright, let's go get some leafies so I can make an alchemy table.
I made short work of them leafies, and when I returned my gloves were ready and I'd already equipped the chest piece, so my armor situation was looking up. I crafted the alchemy table and gave it a look, and the potion that caught my eye was the speed potion.
Oh, I can transmute. Oh, that's not bad.
I got all the random ore I had lying around onto smelt in light of this new discovery, and I whiled the evening away with a cheeky fishing session.
Look at this turtle. You're welcome. Oh, what the heck? He gave me a diamond. What a legend. Oh, wow. Increases the amount of fruit dropped by trees. That's amazing. I didn't see that.
I bought an improved fishing rod and a bunch of summer tokens.
How much money am I spending right now? I just used so much money. Worth. Oh.
A mount at last. Glorious. And after day 53's harvest, I broke into tier 10 farming skills and picked up Cuisine Master, which increases the benefit from food buffs by 10%.
Oh, okay, permanent stat gains. Let's see how much this does. It's retroactive. Okay, I got an extra 6 mana from that. That's not bad.
I replanted yet more wheat, turned some of those copper bars I smelted into iron bars, and it was off to the mines again. I had enough adamant keys to permanently unlock my way down into the 30s, where I encountered these frosty levels. I spent the day hunting down mithril ore. And it's worth noting I'd unlocked a double shot perk for my crossbow by this point, so I was shooting double the eggs at these icy insects. The next day was similar, with a solid harvest and replant, a jaunt around town doing some quests and giving some gifts, and I picked up an exploration skill point from Bernard this time, unlocking a skill that causes golden pomegranates to spawn around town randomly. And then it was off to the mines. I found a few diamonds, but not many mithril ore, which was a bit sad, and I unlocked triple shot in the combat skill tree, so there were eggs flying everywhere. And on day 55, a long overdue journey began. I whipped out my surfboard and headed west. It was time to finally resume that quest involving elves. Just as I stumbled upon a change in biomes, I gained an exploration level, and a skill that awarded me max mana for every heart of friendship I'd earned.
They gave me like 25 mana. Ooh, let's go. My max mana is getting way higher.
There were these earth, water, and fire runes for me to pick up, and the trees were no longer oak. The enemies, for their part, copped lots of eggs to the face, and before long I arrived at some living trees. The one on the left was looking a little rusted over, and the one on the right was not keen on letting me into the elven realm. I infused mana into his friend, and he changed his tune. He couldn't believe my power, and my willingness to help, and so the way was cleared. This elvish town has an entirely different currency, mana orbs. Very cool.
Cross into here. Hello, Grin.
Gorwin, leader of the elves, greeted me. He said he'd been expecting me, and he'd prepared a gift for me.
They love me because I mended the wounded tree with my infusion. I exceed even the best of elves with my mana infusion skills. Yeah, Floydson rocks. Thanks, Lily.
They all loved me with the exception of Wesley, Gorwin's assistant. He was skeptical.
Yes. Another farm. How do you have enough time in a day to farm from 2 farms?
So I'd been gifted an entire farm. Holy moly. It featured distinct rocks and trees and its own elven crafting table with a few new things to build. I planted the 10 acorns Gorwin had given me to get me started.
Kitty sent me a teddy bear plushie. It's huge! Why not? Thanks, Kitty. Alright, let's check inside my house. Oh, it's big. It's flaming huge. Can I move this bed closer to the door? Yep.
I didn't want to have to run a marathon up the treehouse to get to bed. I explored the farm, clearing a little and collecting fabled silk as I went. There was a lot of fabled silk. The elf spiders had clearly been working overtime. This griffin was a bit antisocial, but I managed to get on his good side with a berry.
He ate my berry. Now, are you gonna fly me back if I want?
This earned me 10 more acorn seeds, which I planted, and I cleared a bit more before my first night's sleep in my new treehouse. In the morning, I discovered summer's flames penetrated even to the heart of these gloomy elven forests.
Yes, old mate flies me to the it just cost me 1 berry, and I can fly between farms. Hopefully it can fly me back. How many berries do I have? Alright, I need to just keep these on me for flights, basically. That is amazing news.
I cleared the farm, except my adamant tools weren't strong enough to get rid of the big boy boulders and stumps, so those stood tall. And I looked into crafting some of the elven machines, but found I didn't have enough elven stone, even though I'd collected every stone available on the farm. So I put that on pause.
Okay, so this is the town. Whoa. Oh, there's quest boards here.
I met Iris and immediately gave her an apple. I met an idiot with a pot on his head. I found a crossbow store, and I met a bee weirdo and a tiger weirdo.
Baby stump. Wait, what? Oh, I can farm these guys. Silk moth, baby stumps, and baby griffins.
I bought at least one of each elven crop at the general store, met Varn and gave him an apple, and discovered a mount store and a cape store. I knocked over one fetch quest, planted all those seeds I'd bought, and sought to take up the griffin's services.
Oh no, he's got business hours. Alright, if I sprint...
I didn't sprint actually, I surfed, and I made it back to Sunhaven in time to initiate the end of summer beach barbecue. Because there is no way I'm missing the beach barbecue. Who do you think I am?
Delicious. Look at that smile every time I eat one.
Yeah, there wasn't much to do at this barbecue. I was of course victorious, and I earned myself a hot dog hat.
Beautiful.
In the morning, autumn was upon us. There were somehow leftover flames from the day before, and fall's crop plague of choice was some brambles. I chopped at them with my axe. I picked up a backlog of animal produce and made sure their food was stocked up, and after chucking all of it in the shipping portal, I was set for a 30 grand payday. I grabbed 5 of each autumn crop seed, and these crops were getting a little wacky.
Soda pop crop. Hello? Fizzy fruit. Marshmallow beans.
I also bought fall scarecrows. I had a planting spree, including setting up another field of wheat and carrots, and I wandered the farm to check if the griffin services were available in both directions.
He is, he's there. Okay, good. He keeps strict business hours, but alright, I can get back there, no problem.
On day 58, I tended to my Sunhaven crops, and as you can see, I couldn't be bothered harvesting this wheat, and then I rode the griffin back to Nelvari. I discovered a few crops had disappeared, so I surmised I needed scarecrows for this farm too, so I flew back to Sunhaven, picked up a fall scarecrow I'd crafted, and returned to place it. I did some elf quests, and found the pet store featuring some cuties. I like the happy fireball.
Yeah, I can surf to this any day. Actually, it's pretty bad, I'll be honest. You mushrooms suck.
And I wandered into the grand tree. I asked Wesley how to get to the top, and he rudely told me I wasn't allowed to use the wind lift because I'm an outsider. So I resorted to extreme climbing. Gorwin apologized for Wesley's rudeness towards me and told me I was free to go visit Navara and resume my quest for the Great Dragon's Blessing. I randomly discovered the food stats menu, detailing all the bonus permanent stats I'd gained from eating various foods, and then I tried to head up to the dragon, but this silly tree wilt was half asleep blocking the way. I asked Iris for help getting his loggy face out of my way, and she suggested I collect soul sap from trees in the wilderness south of the village. Before doing that, I checked east and discovered 2 vendors selling armor and permanent stat buffs, and at the top of this tree, a dungeon requiring keys to enter. And I headed south and KO'd a few of these golden trees, earning myself some soul sap. And so began the routine of tending to 2 farms every morning, except aiming the rain cloud sideways is really janky for some reason. I had over 300 mana by this point, and a few skills that gave me improved mana regen, so the double farm shenanigans was manageable. I also had a combat skill that made my projectiles fiery. Check out those triple flame eggs, absolutely gorgeous. I collected the last soul sap I needed and returned to Iris.
I've gotta rub the sap all over him. Alright, come on, big boy. Got some yummy sap for you. You smear the sap all over Wilt. He's awake, okay. Yo. Ooh. You're quite floral. Hello, world dragon.
Navara said I was full of potential and that she was willing to teach me 3 lessons.
It's important to understand the perspective of others. That's deep. Alright, my first lesson is to speak to Iris and Varn and learn about differing perspectives.
Iris informed me a protection spell keeps Nelvari hidden, and her task for me was to infuse the 4 conduits around the village with mana, as these are what maintain the protective spell. I tracked down and infused 3 of them, but ran out of time in my search for the 4th. I harvested some acorns and walk choys on day 60, before chopping down a bunch of trees and making 2 elven looms. I'd Beside which I made a glorious find.
Elven gloves. Ooh, 0.2 mana a second.
Give me that mana regen. I also queued up a bunch of fabled fabric. I paid the OG farm a visit and queued up a ton of jam, and detangled plus watered my crops, of course. I returned to hunt for the infusion thingo and looked everywhere before finally finding it in the grand tree. And with that, I'd learned Iris's perspective on protecting Nelvari. She thought it was a good idea to hide. It was time to see about Varn's perspective. He asked me to find a hidden item outside Nelvari.
Great city poster. You didn't hide it very well, did you dingus?
So I guess Varn's perspective is that he sucks at hiding posters. I returned to Navara and she clarified that Varn thought the Nelvari should open itself up to the outside world, while Iris thought they should remain hidden. I didn't have a horse in the race, and I'm also the type of bloke that wears a hot dog on his head, so quite frankly, I didn't care. The next lesson was about commonality, and Navara asked me to break through Wesley's wariness of me and find some common ground. I spoke to Big Wes, and he laughed in my face, so that went well. After the usual morning double farm caretaking, I expanded my jam production a little.
Oh yeah, there's another golden pomegranate. Yeah, baby. We eat that.
And I bought a bunch of turnips, sugarcane, and corn seeds. I did some elf bulletin board quests, and I spoke to Gorwin about the Wesley problem. He suggested to win Wesley over I should put my money where my mouth is, and I was tasked with donating 1,000 mana orbs to the Nelvari. He also defended Wes, saying he was the one who prepared the farm for me.
Okay, so you're telling me Wesley worked to get the farm ready. The farm was an overgrown mess, so, you know.
My mana orb wallet had grown back up to 400, so I used all of it on elven crop seeds, as planting and selling crops is of course the most straightforward way to make a profit. On day 62, I received an absolutely bonkers triple record bombardment from Catherine, Jun, and Liam. I bought more elven seeds with my overnight profits, and I of course tended to chores back at the Sunhaven farm. I did some quests here too, and bought another farming skill point as I wanted to level up this expensive yield skill that provides a 25% chance for harvested crops to give bonus mana orbs or tickets. I dropped off a bag load of stuff at the museum and indulged in a peaceful fishing session. After a juicy harvest and some fruit collecting, I enjoyed an injection of experience from some jam. Level 17 fishing, can you believe it? My livestock farming continued to pay off too, and gold was essentially a non-issue at this point. I had a nice little harvest at the Nelvari farm too, and I sold some of the fabled fabric the looms had crafted. I continued the daily pattern of dumping all my mana orbs into seeds, and I tried to place a barn I'd purchased down, but it wouldn't let me. So I placed it down back here, and that raised the livestock limit by 8, allowing me to house this baby stump I'd purchased.
He just gives logs.
I spent ages petting the stump.
I expect some golden logs now. Brambles, 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 brambles.
If it isn't clear by this point, I had a fairly set in stone routine on the Sunhaven farm. Grow wheat for animal feed, profit off animals. Grow sugarcane for sugar, combine it with the abundant fruit all over the map, and profit off jam experience gain. And grow other random crops for the museum, or for extra profit. Meanwhile, I continued expanding the Nelvari farm with a new crop field over here. And at this point, I decided to Google what gifts people like in this game, and discovered rubies and sapphires on the list. So I resolved to give those out and test if they earned me extra community tokens.
Alright, so let's see how this goes. And it gives me 2. Nice.
The fruit gift spamming had served me well, but it was time to evolve. As I was running around giving out gifts and knocking over some quests, I found an area I'd missed.
Oh, what the heck? I've never been to this weird bunny place before. They got beehives, apple trees. Why are there freebies in here? The random honey and jam freebies down here. Fair enough.
It was a respectable harvest the next morning, and my horde of fall crops continued to grow, ready for the museum. After expanding the Nelvari crop fields a little, it was gift giving and a foray into the mines. Now that I was using gems as gifts, I wanted to stock up. Also, it wouldn't hurt to progress deeper. I managed to collect 10 diamonds, which was great news.
Alright, give me diamond amulet. Yes. I need combat level 30 to use it. What level is my combat? 29.
I bought over 300 corn seeds and a bunch of fruit tree seeds for my orchard, and enjoyed a decent harvest at the Nelvari farm, before making another composter and putting a bunch of apples on to turn into compost.
50% increased speed, that's nuts. Okay, now I need to unlock the mining skill that gets you fire crystals every day.
I whacked down 2 cornfields and cleared some more space, and a fair few turnips were ready on day 67. I combined them with wheat to make my first fall totem, which reduces the chance for brambles to appear by 80%, and I plonked down 3 more composters to ramp up potential fertilizer production. I also bought an extra fall totem from the seasonal vendor for 200 fall tokens. I bought a combat skill from Bernard and used it to max out Arcane Mastery, which returns 12% of the mana cost spent on spellcast.
So this still costs 30 mana, so I need 30 mana to cast it, but once I cast it, 12% off is like 3 or 4 mana saved, which is a big deal when you're adding up lots of casts.
I also bought like a bajillion wheat seeds, which I planted into 2 more fresh fields. Now that my max mana had climbed close to 400, and the number of skills and items I had for mana regen was stacking up, life was good and the farm could grow without any significant hassle. While the 50% growth speed fertilizer had impressed me, I opted to craft the cheaper 30% version, as I didn't want to burn through my fire crystals quite so quickly. I saved these in case I needed to rush getting my hands on any particular crop. After watering my elven crops, I spent some time farming lightning in a bottle from these insect nerds, as I wanted them for the speed potion recipe. I was up to 855 mana orbs on day 68, but instead of holding out till 1000, I randomly decided to buy a silk moth and a baby griffin, as well as a bunch more seeds.
New friends. Feathers. They sell for 14. That's not bad. And 1 fabled silk, okay.
I bombarded them with petting because I want them golden items, and I spent the rest of the day tidying up a bit and foraging fruit for more jam. Each full tree dropped 6 now, thanks to that exploration skill. Observe on this fine morning how there are significantly fewer brambles on the fields with full totems. Some say about 80% less. Very nice. I had a decent yield to sell in Nelvari and then headed into the mines. I brought enough mithril keys with me to permanently unlock down to level 37. Next morning some corn was ready, so I began cooking some popcorn. I also made 3 more cooking pots so that I could scale up my cooking operation. And I made another baker's table too, so I could more readily process the sugarcane and wheat I was constantly growing.
Well, there's my popcorn. Movement speed bonus. Ooh, 1.8%. That's a lot. Holy crap.
I usually run slower after a tub of popcorn, so this was truly an amazing find. The bonus diminishes the more you eat, but the next 4 tubs earned me a further 2.7%. Not too bad.
Whoa, 15, that's a good gift.
Sunite ore is the tier of metal above mithril, so 15 in the male was quite juicy. I watered and cleaned up a little at the Nelvari farm, and then I finally upgraded my rusty hoe that I received on day 1. I also made an adamant helmet. Whacking this sugarcane with my scythe got me to level 47, and I maxed out this promenade skill that gives a movement speed and exploration experience bonus if you have a leashed pet. As you can see, I had the noodly dragon with me to secure those bonuses. And look at these majestic fields of wheat. After the last few days of elven crop sales, I'd finally cleared 1000 mana orbs, so I donated them, and this began to chip away at Wesley's antagonistic exterior. I'm sure there's a cuddly elf in there somewhere. He was somewhat impressed by my donation, and he mentioned he was busy trying to translate an ancient poem, which gave me an idea.
Oh, 20 community tokens, yes please.
I visited Amanda the librarian and asked her for that lullaby poem text from earlier, as I thought it should be returned to its rightful owners, the Nelvari. Amanda said no, but agreed to let me write a copy, so I grabbed some charcoal to use as a pencil, and used my elite calligraphy skills to pen a copy. I had some more fall totems ready on day 72, so my 10 Sunhaven fields were now all protected from brambles. Well, 80% protected. For whatever reason, they didn't make it 100%, so between manually watering with your spell and removing the seasonal plagues, crop farming is an unavoidable daily chore in this game. It never bothered me though, as the rain cloud spell made it super quick.
Got a golden feather. Fancy. Golden log. Another. 2 golden silk.
Livestock farming, on the other hand, is much more passive, with the exception of adding animal food, but you can put hundreds in at a time, so it's certainly not a daily concern. By the way, Varn had a juicy bulletin quest that popped up a lot, and he kept rewarding me with +4 mana. It was excellent. I gave the copy of the poem to Big Wes, and I finally cracked through to his gooey, lovey center.
Maybe we have something in common after all.
I informed Navarra of my success.
I'm ready to face the final trial. Oh, lots of juicy experience. Oh, some free seeds.
Navarra's final lesson required me to cultivate a crystallized mana gem, so I gave it a water and promised to return tomorrow. And here's a friendship update. And here's me donating a bunch of crap to the museum. I finished off the summer crop bundle, almost finished the Nelvari crop bundle, and began chipping away at the gold item bundle too. I'd bought some more baby griffins, so I replaced some of the other animals in this barn to up my griffin count to 5. These produce feathers daily, which sell for 7 mana orbs apiece, so I figured this was the best way for me to continue earning mana orbs consistently. It was corn and popcorn time in the morning, and then I returned to Navarra, where Iris, Varn, and I teamed up to infuse the mana gem. Unfortunately, we didn't have quite enough power between us.
We can do it. Oh, Wes is here to help. Oh, it's poetic. 3 has become 4. Try again. Alright, go on. There's a big mana rock thing. And there is the moral of the story. Teamwork makes the dream work.
And with that, I received Navarra's blessing, and I was finally ready to head out in search of the monster city. I accepted some mana gem seeds from her, which I planted, and I spent the rest of the day killing these nerds for lightning in a bottle.
Corn. Corn.
And check out them fruits. I'd managed to collect enough cyanide ore for some gloves, so I queued those up to craft and spent the rest of the day in the mines. I made it down past level 40, where another sleepy dingus was blocking the way into the final 10 levels. He required a fairly expensive selection of delicacies. I gave him what I could and then revisited some earlier levels to begin collecting the remainder of what I needed. The next morning I knocked over the usual chores, bandied about with a few gem gifts, and then returned to the mines, chewing this chonker out of the way and continuing down to level 41 and beyond. These are the Sunite ore levels, so I was of course determined to collect as much as possible so that I could upgrade my tools and armor. There were rather annoying trapweed monsters that shot homing clouds of poison at me, and for some reason it was slim pickings, so I only managed to bag 6 Sunite ore for the day. Check out this absolute feast of jam on day 76. I gained a mining level and unlocked the ability to craft skill point tomes at the anvil, and the cost to make these actually changed daily, but on this first day it cost a whole bunch of stone. Also, I'd well and truly cleared 100k gold. Rich. I used 70 grand to buy a bunch more seeds and fruit trees, almost doubling the size of my orchard. I awoke to a visit from Catherine on day 77, and as a reward for hitting farming level 50, she gifted me a hat. So I hung up the hot dog hat in favor of the farming hat. Oh, and check out the amount of tickets, mana orbs, and fall tokens I received from harvesting this wheat. I knocked over a few quests, bought even more wheat because my animals do be hungry, and by the way, I'd crafted some speed potions at the alchemy table using popcorn and lightning in a bottle, so I was chugging those to zip around even faster.
I have a key. Okay, adamant key lets me go in. Okay.
This honeylicious area was simply a way to collect mana shards, which are currency for the vendors downstairs who sell some permanent stat boost items, and it was also a source of elven stone, which I needed for some elven machines, so I was pleased. I cleared the entire area, earning just over 100 mana shards. This wasn't quite enough to buy anything that took my fancy, so I'd have to spend more keys if I wanted to purchase some buffs. I was finally able to make an elven furnace using the stone I'd gathered.
Enchanted copper bar. Oh, I can enchant everything. Goodness me. Okay. And then what do I do with the enchanted stuff?
I made an elven juicer too, and it of course makes beverages out of the elven crops. I had a decent harvest, and now all that was left in Elvari were my mana gem crops. And as was pretty much a daily affair by this point, I had a juicy harvest in Sunhaven too. I'd gotten so deep into the farming skill tree that I was no longer sure what I wanted to pick up.
Kinda just want the extra jam experience, you know? I think it's probably worth.
Can't argue with the jam. I also had a skill that gives a chance for double jam. I returned to Nelvari with some copper bars, which I queued up to enchant at the elven furnace, and then I began blowing up these big boulders. I now had a mithril pickaxe, so I was able to chip away at them the old-fashioned way too. Once the enchanted copper bars were done, I queued up an elven anvil.
You can put 2 together. Oh my gosh, this is just for axes and pickaxes, it looks like, yeah. So this is only minor improvement. Like every rank makes it a little bit better. When do I make glorite?
So there were certainly some more upgrades to chase down. I began letting my crop fields over here empty, as I wanted to reposition them and finalize my design as winter approached. And I spent another day in the mines collecting sunite ore. I had a fruitful time of it, managing to collect 35. Here's me eating jam and collecting a ton of animal food from this baker's station on day 80, and here's me queuing up more jam. And here's me in the mines yet again. I unlocked a mining skill granting a chance for bonus stones, as I now knew I could use them to make skill tomes, so I figured I might as well stock up. Smelting sunite costs fire crystals instead of merely coal, so I was pleased I'd invested in that mining perk to find bonus fire crystals. I queued up a sunite pickaxe, and finally my mana gems were ready, so I filled up my bags for a visit to the museum. I managed to donate 2 fall fish, an absolute miracle. I actually have no idea when I caught those, and I completed the Nelvari crop bundle, earning myself a cute reward.
Mushroom boy. I'm definitely putting the oddish on a leash. Come on, buddy. Owlbear. He's flaming huge.
I made another anvil and used it to queue up some keys to craft, and in the morning I had some tomatoes to harvest. I planted these because unlike all the other professions which use fruit-based jams, combat needs tomatoes. By this point I was giving everyone Havenite, the highest tier gem you get from level 40 to 50 in the mines. And it was a loved gift, so I was getting 3 community tokens every time I gave one out. This allowed me to afford 2 elixirs of mining from Bernard.
This very juicy.
A chance for ore nodes to drop a bonus 5 ore. Absolutely massive. I decided it was finally time to investigate the way north to the monster city of Withergate, and my passage was immediately thwarted by this monstrous Nakoon.
Well, I don't have potato.
And so I planted some potatoes.
So it says ready in 5 days.
I added some fertilizer to increase its growth speed by 30%.
Now it says ready in 4 days.
So I guess growth speed boosts round down. Disappointing, but 4 days isn't so bad a delay. In the meantime, I headed back to the mines where I was holding out hope for some nice bonus ore procs.
There we go. There was a bonus 5.
I wasn't dumping any of my Sunite bars into keys, by the way, so I was progressing from 41 down with rusty keys, and saving the Sunite for more tools and armor. I hit up the crossbow store in Nelvari and dropped 1500 mana orbs on this spicy weapon, with 3 times the damage of the egg crossbow. It required level 40 combat though, so I couldn't use it just yet. I hit up the tree dungeon again, using a mithril key this time, and ended up in this mystical area. I cleared it fully and then went again, and these 2 runs earned me 224 mana shards, which I used to purchase a 2% permanent boost to my mining damage. To match my crossbow upgrade, I also queued up a Sunite sword.
Let's clear some trees. Ready? Makes a very beautiful noise.
I'd barely used this tree chopping skill until now, but it's an exploration spell I picked up ages ago. Very handy. Except I accidentally chopped down 2 of my fruit trees. I realized later that the fruit tree seeds actually dropped, so I was able to replant them and it wasn't a big deal. And check out this glorious record collection on day 84. I headed east because I had a quest to kill prickle tots and because I was curious. There was a stretch of wilderness out here that I hadn't yet seen, as the level 40 prickle pops had stopped me last time. With a few more combat levels under my belt, I fought my way through. The range on the egg crossbow is quite short, so the prickle tots were a bit of a handful with their relentless barb slinging, but I soon hit level 40, which made things way easier.
Let me equip this and this.
It was a decent damage improvement, but it was a huge range improvement, which made maneuvering in combat significantly more straightforward.
Oh, this is the path to Elios. Oh, now I understand. I've explored everywhere you can explore except north of the sleepy monster.
I headed back, grabbed a trip home from my guy Clive, and then it was time for the Halloween festival to round out a fruitful fall.
I'm Australian, I don't really know what Halloween is. What is this about?
I bought a few spooky foods for some permanent buffs, and
a wizard toad? Yeah, well, I'll buy these, and a witch cat.
I did the rounds trick-or-treating, and everyone was very impressed with my farmer costume.
Cat. Frog.
And with that, autumn was over.
Snow? Yeah, snow. Except I can still... These are frosty.
I harvested and replanted over here, but chose to tear down my original crop fields and begin work on a new layout.
Something... What? Something's blocking the way on the other side. Hello?
After buying 5 of each winter crop, I investigated the blockage and found a cheeky snackoon who required 50 bananas. Unfortunately, the shop had closed by this point, so I resolved to pick up the seeds on the morrow. I bought some winter tokens and bought a winter totem to reduce ice blocks spawning on my crops each morning, and I planted and placed the scarecrows. I also queued up a bunch of wooden tiles to craft.
What do I need for the winter totem? Whatever it is. Winter totem, I need heat fruit. 20 of each.
I began dressing up my field setup with some wooden tiles, and then bought heat fruit and banana seeds, which I planted. I needed more logs for wooden tiles, so I chopped a bunch of trees and replanted all the seeds that dropped here for a future wood farm. And once this area down here was somewhat cleared, I planted 2 more fields of sugarcane. The gap in my orchard was annoying me, so I chopped down these fruit trees on the right and replanted them, and I received some cinnamon apple pie from Liam in the mail, which I ate, boosting my max mana up above the 500 mark. I hadn't collected animal produce in a while, so check out this payday.
51 grand and 400 of the mana orbs. Not a bad day.
I chopped some more trees, crafted some more wooden tiles, organized my storage a bit, and finally cleared this corner at the bottom of the farm, including washing up this oil that had survived like 50 days. Bernard asked me to fill up the festive soup pot with ingredients, and my bananas were ready, so I gave them to the big fella and he got out of the way. I continued working on farm design some more, placing more wooden tiles and crafting all of the stone tile options so I could try them all out and decide which I liked. And I bought a demolition kit plus the tier 3 house upgrade blueprint. I needed 200 heavy stone for the tier 3 house though, and I'd cleared all the heavy stone on the farm but still only had 182. I wasn't sure how to get more, so the upgrade went on pause until I figured out how to source them. I destroyed this barn though, as it was in the way of my crop field plans, and I didn't replace it, so my livestock counter was now 50 out of 42. Seems good. Also, check out this windmill. Someone sent that whole dang thing in the mail at some point. It looks pretty cool. I put on a bunch of noodles to cook for the community soup and went to bed. I had a ridiculous jam feast on day 89, and I finally fed the monstrous snackoon his wheat and potatoes. I fought my way north through this mysterious forest until the fog became too thick to penetrate.
Oh, here we go. What's this business? Okay, so I can't go any further. I have to go back. Get some help from the sun dragon.
I checked in with Elios, and he suggested Claude might be able to help get through the fog, but when I spoke to him, he was cagey and asked me to leave him be. I bought 2 more mining elixirs and maxed out the bonus stone skill, and I checked with Lucia to see if she knew of a way to get through to Claude. She suggested I ask Jun. Jun said I should give him a gift, maybe his favorite food, so I asked Liam for any clues as to what he might like, and he said Claude loves tomato bread, and that he'd bake some for me, but he needed me to grab him the tomato juice he needed, so I went and cooked some. I harvested my heat fruit in the morning and queued up a bunch of winter totems to craft before dropping off the tomato juice to Liam. He said he'd have me the bread by tomorrow.
Repairing the clothing store. Oh yeah, that's worth half a skill point, so I definitely go for this. Give me the exploration skill point.
I tried to repair the hairdressers too, but I didn't have quite enough planks. And then I had an outrageous session of beach foraging. I returned with some more planks to get the hairdresser repair underway and earned an identical reward. In the morning, there were just a few tomatoes to harvest. I picked up some pizza I'd cooked and ate 2 slices, gaining a cheeky +6 health, not too bad. And I put some spaghetti on to cook as that gives an attack damage boost. I must say, I like that these stat boosts incentivize cooking, because if they didn't, I probably wouldn't bother with cooking at all. I also bought a bunch of food from the bakery, boosting my stats even further. I picked up Claude's bread from Liam, and he was moved by the fact that people in town cared enough to know his favorite food, and he rewarded my persistence, telling me to meet him in the garden behind his house. He admitted that he was from Withergate, the town of monsters, and that no one knew of this except the dragon Elios, and it meant he had some insight into my purple fog problem. He said only a talented witch could dispel the fog, but that no such witch existed in Sunhaven. Catherine is the resident witch, so clearly he doesn't think much of her skill set. I chatted to her, and she had an inkling as to what I was talking about. She asked for a couple of days to research and prepare. I experimented with the flooring for a smithy type area, and I decided I liked the stone floor tile, so I queued up a bunch more to craft. On day 92, Lucia ambushed me as I emerged from my house and gifted me with a hat for hitting level 50 exploration. I did the usual chores, moved these fields up a little to make space for another set of fields below, and ate a whole bunch of spaghetti.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 5 extra attack damage. Time to go to the mines. This guy, do you sell heavy stone, big fella? You do.
I bought the limit of 10 for the day, and this solved my problem of how to get more heavy stone for the house upgrade. I spent the rest of the day in the mines and had a huge day, collecting over 60 sunite ore and 50 mithril ore. The skill that gives you 5 bonus ore was clearly working overtime. I hit mining level 50 while in there, and in the morning Solon rocked up to give me the miner's hat, and I made a realization.
For getting level 50 mining. Oh, hold on. What? I didn't realize these had stats on them. 30% extra pickup range. Farming hat has extra crop chance, okay.
If I could be bothered, it would be peak efficiency to whack on the farmer's hat every time I harvested for 6% extra crops. But I could not be bothered, so I left it in the chest and kept the explorer's hat cosmetic on. I spent the day setting up my new blacksmith area, placing down stone tiling, repositioning some of the machines, and placing a wooden fence to segment it from the crop field. I turned in what was needed to the community soup cauldron and then paid Catherine a visit. She said to dispel the fog she needed moonlight water, and there was only one place in Sunhaven where such water was available. We went to the garden behind Claude's mansion, and as Catherine collected some water, Claude came out of nowhere with a shotgun and unloaded on us for trespassing. Well, not quite, but he did insult Catherine, claiming she was too weak a witch to deal with the fog. I'm not sure why Claude hates Catherine so much, but he needs to calm down. I queued up a sunite axe, placed down some more flooring, and headed to bed. The crops over here were ready, so I began moving the fields right into the corner as I wanted to better utilize this space. I then headed west, because now that I had over 40 combat levels under my belt, as well as way better gear, it was time to squish this idiot slime once more. And he went squish real quick. But the true reason for my journey out here, to find out how deep I could get in this dungeon trial. I can't be bothered highlighting each level, but obviously it got harder as I went, and the levels with ranged mobs were particularly difficult. I eventually got to the elegantly named Bat Boss, and after taking him down I entered level 26, with these rather tanky root walkers and the infamous trap weeds. This was my limit, so I bailed.
Got a key that lets me open chests up to level 25, okay.
This opened all the chests bar one.
Okay, 15% crit damage, 5 attack, 6 spell damage, 6% attack speed.
And then I realized something.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't using my attack gloves the whole time.
I usually have my mana regen gloves on, because that's useful 90% of the time. But of course for combat, the Sunite gloves provide a huge amount of attack power. I queued up Sunite legs and a helmet to craft in the morning, and after harvesting this wheat, I continued repositioning the fields in this area. I then had a quick gift spree before heading north to meet up with Catherine at the impenetrable fog.
Hey! I always believed. Why she always look like she's crying?
It worked, except not really, because I had to do this silly willy fog puzzle where I couldn't see where the heck I was going, but I fumbled my way along and found the path eventually. I was greeted by this weird amalgamation of Greek mythological creatures.
Charon is a mixture of the boat of the dead guy and the 3-headed dog. What's the 3-headed dog's name again?
Cerberus. Anyway, he took me downriver towards the monster city of Withergate, but oh calamity, an enormous boulder was blocking the way. These two funny looking idiots were debating how to capture the Monster King's escaped viper, and they had competing ideas. One reckoned they needed 250 sandstone ore to catapult at it, and the other reckoned they needed 50 sandstone fish. I for one had no idea what this had to do with unblocking the river, but I agreed to help the hapless buffoons.
Oh, he took me back to my farm. That's convenient. Good doggy. Good boat doggy.
I immediately headed to the sandstone quarry and collected 250 sandstone ore. On day 96, my new armor was ready, so I couldn't resist.
Oh yeah. My damage is bonkers. Oh crap. Eat.
Some upgrades, plus actually wearing the correct gloves, had worked wonders for my combat prowess. But it still wasn't enough. I decided I needed a more impressive health food than mushrooms to beat the last few levels of this dungeon. Tomato juice heals a whopping 90 health, about 6 times more than the silly shrooms I'd been chomping, so I queued up a bunch of those to cook and resolved to use them on my next attempt. Charon ferried me back to these 2 gooses, and we loaded the 250 limestone into the catapult.
What are we doing?
I tried entering this tunnel, but it wouldn't let me. And I don't know how KOing the king's favorite pet snake results in the spontaneous removal of a river boulder, but somehow the way was now clear. As we floated on down, Charon informed me the way to stop the spreading darkness was to stop the moon dragon. And to achieve that, I had 2 options. Appease him with offerings, or defeat him in combat. We arrived at the outskirts of Withergate.
Withergate's looking gnarly.
I was treated as an intruder and immediately escorted to the Prince Darius.
Look at this place.
He was rather rude and informed me I had no chance of a welcome into the city, let alone an audience with the moon dragon. Though he did mention that if I bought an apartment and became a permanent resident, I'd earn the right to inhabit the town. For now though, I was kicked out. I explored the monstrous wilderness, finding a mithril ring and fighting a range of spooky monsters, including these floating books. I then realized I was supposed to talk to Charon, so I returned to him and he said my only option was to sneak into the city via the sewers. But it was getting late, so I headed home for a snooze. After a quick chore or 2 on day 97, I returned to tackle the sewers. There were a bunch of trash-themed monsters, as well as literal trash for me to pick up, including unrefined metal and glass, and an unnecessarily long jumping sequence through the toxic sludge.
Hey, we made it somewhere. Who's this? Donovan.
Emo Santa decided to help me and provided me with a most excellent disguise.
That is definitely a premium monster disguise.
We snuck into the city and Jabba the Hutt squelched toward us, but my incredible disguise fooled him completely. Donovan took me to this apartment building and managed to convince Flemmet to give me an apartment on loan. But once I pay him back 3,000 tickets, I'll own it properly, making me a citizen of Withergate. Flemmet showed me to the rooftop, which was slightly overgrown, and he told me no one uses it, so I was free to do with it what I liked. A rooftop farm in a city setting. An unexpected twist on the farm sim genre.
This rooftop's huge.
I cleared trees and rocks and checked out the monster table, which featured essentially the equivalent machine variations as the elven ones, except monsterfied. I had a fish in this big tank and caught an electric eel and living jelly. I explored the city, handing out Havenite to the romanceable characters. I found this outdoor cinema and this weird subway where you could buy tickets to go on adventures. It was essentially the monster equivalent of the tree dungeons in Nelvari. I checked out this majestic hat store with quite the cast of storekeepers behind the counter, and I found this seed shop and I bought 5 of each seed, plus as many Kraken kale seeds as possible so that I could begin earning tickets towards paying off my 3,000 ticket debt. I planted 3 fields worth of monster crops on day 98 before taking care of some neglected Sunhaven chores, including amassing a cheeky 57 grand gold profit for the day, and I returned to the rooftop farm and whacked down some winter scarecrows and totems. The next morning I quickly got my watering done at both farms before exploring Withergate some more.
A Nimbus and a Grimbus. I definitely want those, but they're 600 tickets, so not yet. Oh, you can jump into this. What is this place? What the heck? Oh, you just clothes and stuff. I don't care, no offense.
I bought an economy ticket in the subway and was taken to this outrageous candy land where candy corn was the collectible currency. I collected all that I could. I hit mining level 52 and maxed out this splash skill, which gives a chance for my pickaxe swings to hit nearby rocks for a fraction of the damage. I collected 165 candy corn, but wasn't able to afford any prizes for now. In keeping with the theme park / festival vibes, there was some free popcorn and ice cream, and a bunch of food stalls. There was also a shop selling stuff like mounts and plushies. All of these stores used red tickets, which were like tickets at an arcade, a currency earned by playing mini-games. Some seemed to be games of chance, others games of skill, but I didn't have time to give any of them a crack. Up here I found a roller coaster and Ferris wheel, and further up I was able to simply waltz into the royal palace. I began poking around, but it was quite a labyrinth and I was out of time, so I returned home to bed. I put a monster loom onto craft on day 100.
What, uses health?
How sinister. I ate mushrooms to top up my health and queued up a recycling machine too.
Just make all of these. They sell for 9 each, so that's a lot of money right there.
And once the recycle was done, I queued up a bunch of that trash I'd picked up to refine into more useful materials. I visited Sunhaven for a whole bunch of harvesting.
Oh, Major, Skipper, and Private. That's the penguins from Madagascar.
And I hit up the museum.
Yeah, managed to donate 2 Withergate fishes.
I donated a bunch of winter crops too, and managed to complete the exploration bundle, earning some mana regen potions, very juicy, and a golden trophy. I planted over 200 wheat, and then realized I missed harvesting the one remaining winter crop needed for the winter bundle. So I returned and donated the elusive Pythagorean berry, which was rather triangular, would you believe? And I had an extremely satisfying session of tree choppage. And just like that,
That's it. We're done. I think that's 100 days. Holy crap. Well, we got pretty far.
pretty far indeed, but pretty far to go. A story to complete, a museum to fill, levels and skills to max out, gear to upgrade, and dungeons and mines to plumb the depths of. So let me know if you'd like to see 200 days. Check out my first ever attempt of Don't Starve, featuring extremely high IQ plays and god tier gamer reflexes.